broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, fellow Face Off fans and friends. Welcome to Face Off Season 10, Episode 2, Child's Play. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan. And today I am joined by an amazing panel of people. Gonna start first with our phenomenal special guest, a model who's done over 50 challenges with Face Off. That is impressive.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
We have Matt Chris Wood in the house. Woohoo!
Where can people find you on the internet?
At Matt Chris Wood is
Perfect.
my handle, or on the
Perfect.
general interwebs at mattchriswood.com.
Love it.
Yeah. And also joining us is the lovely and talented Emma Fyffe.
That's me, Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet at Emma Fyffe.
And we're super excited. We have a new member of our panel. Woohoo! Give it up for Michelle Cullen.
Hello, everyone. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And Alexis is here. She's in the booth.
Hey, what's
Keeping
up,
us
everyone?
rolling.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
And I'm being twinsies with Alana right now.
Yes,
on our
we're onesie twinsies.
I know.
Onesie twosies.
Onesie twosies.
You can find me all over social media at atorres890.
Woo! So we are all decked out in our childlike attire for Child's Play this episode, which, by the title, I thought was going to be like a
little creepy.
scary
Right?
Chucky doll episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Opposite
Absolutely.
direction, completely.
Nope. Totally threw me for a loop there.
Completely opposite.
Yeah.
Totally. It was another everyone's favorite word, whimsical.
I wrote that in my notes. I wish you guys could see it, but literally just in big bold words. Whimsical. I would like the SpongeBob thing where it's like whimsical.
One of our favorite face-off adjectives is the one that always throws all of the contestants for a loop, it
Yeah.
seems.
Yeah.
Throw in
because
whimsical.
I mean, because whimsical can mean so many things.
It's such a broad concept.
Luckily, they did give pretty,
Yes.
rounded
Yes.
parameters, bringing in the examples of Toy Story and Pinocchio, and of course, Pee-wee's Playhouse,
Yes.
which V worked on, which was also awesome because they got to bring in Paul Rubens,
Yes.
Pee-wee himself, to help judge and also promote his new movie, Pee-wee's Big Holiday, which I'm very excited about too.
I love it.
Emma and I both work at Universal, and we saw the hold tags.
Yes,
for it
we
in the
did.
product.
Yeah.
So the contestants, a lot of them everybody seemed pretty excited this episode
Yeah.
about the challenge, even if it was not necessarily their area of expertise.
I mean, the thing is anytime you do sort of a whimsical challenge, if you will, because the term itself is so subject to interpretation, it gives you a lot of area to kind of play around. I think one of the things about the makeups across this episode was that none of them were in the same universe.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that?
100%. They seemed like they were from completely different toy chests.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they'd be hanging out in the same room.
If Toy Story would be made with it would be a very different story if those were all of the toys.
Yes, it would.
And I mean, that's got to be a very scary thing for the artists, too, because they know they're going to have to make some huge choices.
Right,
and that could either go really well or that could bomb.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool because it's a chance for them to show something, show other aspects of their work, not just like the scarier, creepier stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's really, really important for them to be able to, like, exercise that more whimsical side of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be kind of cool for you guys too.
Oh my
coming in as
gosh, yeah.
models.
Oh, as a model, yeah. I mean, because anytime we get to do these kookier, crazier things, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the horror stuff and
Yeah.
the things where you're like these creatures, but a chance to bring some levity, or I always love it when I get a character that can smile. Because I don't have a lot of those, so when I can go on that stage smiling,
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Do you find that there is a certain sort of genre or type of character that the makeup artists tend to select you for?
Yeah, I kind of get all over the board, but definitely on like the creepier, more menacing.
Okay.
But then I've also had my share of like things that were supposed to be scary, but then looked kind of cute or not quite what they were going for. But yeah, I mean these kind of challenges, though, I think as a model are so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely saw that this episode because everybody seemed to really personify.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's weird to even dive into this episode just because the concept when you start out having V stand there before you even get your challenge has to be a bit daunting, I think. And then having just this sound stage, which I didn't realize, so many of the contestants are so young that Caleb, this is his first time on a studio backlot.
Oh yeah, because they were over at Culver Studios. Yeah.
And straight out of college, right, or straight out of makeup school,
Yeah.
right into the Culver Studios.
Yeah.
So
I guess I guess
crazy.
that's such a crazy concept for me to grasp as somebody who works at a movie studio and goes in sound stages all the time. It's like, no, that's totally normal. But yeah, I mean, and I think they did a good job of kind of. I'm really enjoying Caleb as a contestant. I really like his energy, and I think that was such a nice moment to capture that actually went really well thematically with the episode because they were trying to capture that idea of like wonderment. And is wonderment a word? I think
it
I just
is
made
now.
that
I
up.
like it. Hashtag wonderment. Use it.
Great word.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, and like childhood fancy.
Yeah.
So I think that in of itself really helps to sort of contribute to like the inspiration for the artists. Because again, I mean, Culver Studios in particular, like freaking Tara from Gone with the Wind, like that is the front of Culver Studios. It's amazing. And you can't help but get a little bit giddy and childlike being in that kind of setting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's really cool to get to see an early challenge that is kind of going away from the sci-fi hard,
Absolutely.
really diving into the isn't this fun, we're all playing pretend and that's our jobs now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So couple looks were safe. We've got an even split now. We got 6 even. So we had to have our winner from last week choose a team.
Yes.
Melissa. So she ended up going with Rob and Johnny. But let's talk first about, I always say it wrong.
Naroji?
It's
Jirogi.
Jirogi.
Yeah, it's like
Jirogi.
Jirogi, but with a J.
The N is silent.
Silent
I know
L.
from his Twitter. Jirogi and Jennifer. I'm sorry. We're going to start first with Walter and Ant. I was looking at it in reverse. Walter and Ant, who had the race car.
Yeah.
And they went with an unusual design in that they didn't do any facial prosthetics.
And here's the thing is there have been so many challenges that I've gone, if you're good at beauty makeup, just do a beauty makeup, especially anytime it's sort of a sort of seductressy kind of character. A lot of the times they'll end up putting like these crazy facial prosthetics and it never works out. And finally I was like, yeah, someone's just doing a beauty makeup. And I think this could have used something on the face. So I stand corrected is basically what I'm saying.
It just needs to be executed well, and I'm not saying that it wasn't executed well. I just think it fell a little bit short of what the standard should have been if you're relying that much on a beauty makeup. It can't just be the silver face with the red lips to match the silver and red car. You need a little oomph.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that oomph is, but it just needed something.
Put a little diesel in the engine of that race car.
you.
Yeah. That spectacular makeup that it really needed to be.
I feel like they didn't allocate enough time for it. They were so focused on, because it was such a complete look with this full costume, and it was, which Neville pointed out, it's a lot of costume pieces, but it was a great overall look, but they didn't allocate enough time because we even see last looks grabbing the Krylon silver
And just starting right there.
Right, which if it had been a lesser quality makeup, wouldn't have looked as good. And I think it looked just so good because Krylon's so good.
Yeah. Ginger Flare and SS Lovebird in the chat both think that it should have had a red face. They just didn't like the silver face. They felt it broke it up too much for them.
I think they should have just combined it.
Yeah,
In
maybe
some way, shape, or
have
form, made it more defined, I think.
Yeah.
have the red go into the silver.
Yeah.
Something.
Like racing stripes.
That's what I was thinking. I thought they were going to put racing stripes on her face somehow. Like, you know how, like, football, where they put the lines?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be
Like,
cool.
I thought they should do that with something.
I could see that.
I don't know. I mean, I thought it would maybe be too much, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, just having the silver face felt very Transformers.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what I
gonna
was
say,
thinking.
it
She
kinda
looks
looks like a
pretty
Transformer.
Yeah.
Yeah. She looks kind of like RC. I like it.
Yeah, I'm totally
It's
fine
not a
with
bad
that.
look. It's just, it kind of goes into a different realm. At
Yeah.
that point.
It's less toy and more like after
different
Optimus has
franchise.
sacrificed himself for the
Yeah.
50th time, his reward is he
Whoa.
gets to go on a date with the awesome race car. But I think it's still, I mean, it made sense to me that was a safe look.
Yeah, no, it was a good makeup. It just
Yeah.
didn't it didn't stand out next to the ones that ultimately were top looks.
Right. And considering they had a run that they had so many cracks and holes that they had to patch, I mean, it's pretty impressive. You can't really tell.
Yeah. Now, Matt, let me ask you, when you go up there and you've got a makeup on, do you go up sometimes like knowing that you're going to be a bottom look or a safe, or are you just kind of in the moment?
You know, you never know for sure that you're a bottom look, but you definitely go up there. And I mean, because at that point, you've spent hours with this contestant.
Right.
So, like, you've got skin in the game at that point.
Yeah.
And you're, like, rooting for them and wanting them to do well. So, I mean, you go up there hoping that you can just do your best and sell the character as best as you can. But, yeah, you definitely feel for the contestants throughout the course of the season.
Do you ever find that, like, if you know the contestants were really struggling, that you take, like, extra steps in your performance to try to, like, sell their makeup to the judges?
Oh, totally. I mean, if they've really, you can tell if the makeup is a good makeup, you really don't have to do too much beyond that other than just get up there and just, you know, it doesn't take a lot to sell it. It takes more with some of the makeups that are a little more challenging. But it's really fun when you see an artist who is freaking out, like in the lab and then in last looks, and then you come out on that stage and then the judges are like, we love it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like when you see them come and like really like rise to it. So I mean, Mel in this episode, like case in point.
I feel like we have a lot on this show where we get the crisis and the panic and then they walk out on stage and it's amazing and looks like it just walked right off the set.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good at twist. Throwing it in. But our second top look were a pair that actually struggled a little bit was Katie and Caleb.
Yeah.
Who we talked about how much we love Caleb's energy and Katie's too.
Yeah, they're great.
Having the two of them, I was just like, oh, they're like so
they're
fun
great, and
excited.
all of the construction work that they did on this makeup was awesome. Because they had a key was their inspiration. And yeah, I mean, it turned out really nice. All the little details they did in terms of like the piece that they did for her face and for her chest. Where it fell kind of short was in the paint job.
Yeah, it also just the overall concept wasn't super cohesive.
Yeah.
It didn't really read key.
Yeah.
Well,
I wish they had showed the back, the big keyhole. Yeah.
because you only see that for the tiniest glimpse of time when they're walking out to go to last looks and do the final hour of makeup application. And I originally, the first time I watched this, kind of thought, or when I was watching it, I thought that there was a missed opportunity in kind of having a wind-up doll. Like, that was where my brain went right away with
I'm
the
with
key.
you on that one, Michelle.
Me
I
too.
definitely thought she was going to do a wind-up doll.
Like a really cool back piece that's a little unexpected. And then I didn't even notice until right when they were leaving that, oh, they did paint a giant keyhole on her back, but it's just makeup. And then it was never acknowledged again.
And that didn't make as much sense to me either, because I'm like, if she's the key, then why does she have the keyhole on the back and she can't open her back?
I was hoping that they would make something out of not prosthetics, I'm sorry, as like they would have like a keyhole or a door or something that she could hold on to, that she could be the key to. I don't know, something like that. Just another prop to help with that.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Ginger Flare in the chat loved this makeup and thought it totally worked.
I loved what they did on the arms and the legs and how they kind of made it look not necessarily disjointed, but kind of
like a ball and joint almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and with the paint job, I feel like they were going for sort of an antique feel, but maybe that was just a happy accident. I don't know. It was a good makeup. I just don't think it was fully realized. And I think actually that
Paul Rubens
said the exact same thing. It's like, this is a really good idea that just hasn't
fell apart in the execution.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that we see flat out when Michael Westmore comes in and he's like, I'm not really seeing it, but he's like, don't start over.
Yeah.
Which I wish he would just say every episode, because I feel like when he does it, someone goes, no, panic, and just starts ripping at the clay.
Yeah.
And you feel like they're just ripping at your heart when they do it too. It's so good. So I do like that they at least said, I think you could kind of tell that this one was going to be a safe look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was again, both this makeup and the previous one were good makeups.
Right. They were both very visually interesting to look at.
Yeah.
And they had technical, really good forms.
Yeah.
But they weren't ones that at the end of the season you're going to go, oh yeah, I remember that.
You're right. Yep.
Whereas Rob and Johnny and Melissa.
I know.
Melissa
Good
definitely.
for her. Like Melissa, top freaking won last week. Top looks again this week.
Yeah,
She is
Melissa
on
is
fire.
crushing it right now. And Rob and Johnny and Melissa all worked so well together.
They really
too.
did. And
They were the lollipop.
Yeah.
They became the lollipop guild.
Yeah. And in the previous episode, Johnny had shown maybe that he struggled a little in the teamwork department.
He said something about that.
He did, yeah. He called me out on Twitter for saying that he was being mean to his partner, but he also said I was right. So, but I think I like how direct he is, and it was nice to see him like work as part of this team and create this really cohesive, awesome makeup that was a top look.
Yeah, I love it.
So good job, Johnny.
Yes. Melissa even flat out says she uses the phrase perfect team. So you're like, that's what you want to hear.
Yep.
Now, I did think it was cool, too, that Johnny recognized when they were fabricating the tubes and everything that it was going to be too brittle and too...
Right, if they actually made
unwieldy.
Yeah, if they actually cast it. Yeah.
Very insightful of him as he was making that, just to decide to create that as a fabricated piece instead of casting it and creating a whole new foam thing.
Yep.
I love seeing when they use new techniques, too, that we haven't really seen before and then explain it. Because I like to pretend that I go, oh, yeah.
I know what you're doing. I'm going to do it myself in an hour.
I loved, Matt, when we were talking before, and you were like, oh, you guys use all these technical terms.
I know. I was impressed with you ladies. Y'all dropping some serious product knowledge on the show. But no, that was great thinking on his part. And as just from the model standpoint, when they're making a choice that's making a more durable fabrication or makeup, that helps us out so much because we're just going to be able to bring that character to life so much more easily rather than like trying to step on eggshells.
Yeah. Have you ever had just like so much prosthetic glued onto you that you're like, I don't even know what to do with this?
It's happened once or twice. Yeah.
I feel like Ralphie's brother. Right? I can't put my arms down.
Totally. I mean, just like chains that are like one hair away from just popping off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the last thing I want to happen on stage.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
Is it
it's all part of the fun,
when
though.
you're dressed as like a lollipop and then you can't eat while you're ironically as
no, and when we do eat,
food.
they have these little mirrors set up so we don't mess up the makeup. So they were probably just looking at a lollipop the whole day trying to eat.
I love it.
That's great.
That's whenever I see like the delicious treat ones, I'm like, man, that makes me hungry. That's got to be like while you're putting all the makeup on, I would just be snacking the whole time, which you can't do.
I love that Paul Rubens just wanted the lollipop to be happier.
That's why, if I may, figure one is where this comes into play.
Yes.
Paul Rubens called it out in the mouth. The mouth should have been smiling more, but what I personally think it was is there was a natural upturn to the eyebrows that gives it that sad pouting look that you can't escape. I can't do it. I cannot demonstrate it. I could draw it bigger if you want. But
Well, that's
kind
awesome.
of, yeah, that's good.
That's me trying.
Like they just naturally went up, and then there was a kind of gleam painted on, like they were shiny eyebrows, so there was a little gleam painted on there that accentuated that sad pout moment.
okay.
If you go back and watch it, you'll see. You won't be able to look away from it now. But
That's all you'll see.
that's where the little sadness came in for me.
Well,
And
I'm
I was
glad
like,
that you pointed that out because I was trying to figure out what was making him sad and I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was just like, oh, he's not smiling? I don't know. But like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good eye.
Eyebrows can really determine a lot of the emotion of the character.
Well, and speaking of emotion, SS Lovebird in chat says, Matt, how do you feel wearing a makeup that you can't emote in?
Yeah, I mean, you go out there and you do what you can, you know? I'm like, I'm gonna just move around.
Exactly.
Or when it feels weird when you feel like you're making giant expressions. You're like, if you saw me without prosthetics doing the same thing, you would be like, okay, wow, you're like in a theater. But yeah, it feels weird to be moving your face that much and then it just looks the same on camera.
Do you think that because of working on Face Off and all sort of the creature makeup that you've done, that you have gotten more in your body as an actor? You know what I mean? Because as an actor, you're so used to emoting things with your face, but it's so much more convincing when it's really in your body. Do you feel like
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, and to bring some of these characters to life, I mean, it requires, especially if you can't emote as much with your face, you really have to bring that extra element. And you can see it on the show when a model is really bringing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it really makes a different...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it totally does.
Different level.
Your model can definitely make or break your makeup, I think.
Yeah. It can certainly really help sell it.
At least we like to think so.
Yeah, I absolutely loved the lollipop look. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a cool backstory.
Yeah.
I like the whole idea of a child coming up with that's their fictional friend that's going to help them run their dad's candy shop. But what kind of made me laugh was it reminded me of a different version, almost like the nicer sibling to, if you remember Sig Neutron from season 7, he does this weird bizarro a-go-go that he has a character that is a big lollipop face, but it's got a grill that are little peppermints.
yeah.
And so when I was
remember
looking
that.
at it, I was like, oh, this should just be like buds with Sig's creation. Like, I just want them all to be little dolls that I can just pair up and, oh, you guys be buds.
Best friends.
Now, definitely talking about models who sell the makeup and just absolutely rock it. Anna and Mel, their watch character.
So good.
So good.
My favorite of the night, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Straight up.
Yep.
It was
I was very glad it won.
phenomenal. And you could see, I feel like that character with that makeup and that model could have been a silent movie. We didn't even need audio for it. We could have seen that character on screen exactly as it was on stage.
Absolutely.
And what's so impressive about it is their inspiration was a watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that could have been so just blah.
Yep.
Instead, it was phenomenal and such a good story. Do you ever find that because I know the contestants will create kind of a narrative, but do you ever embellish the narrative in your head when you're...
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the fun because we're sitting there for hours while they're putting stuff on you, so you have nothing to do but think, you know. But no, yeah, that makeup was incredible. I mean, I feel like out of all the makeups, that one really told the best story.
yeah.
And then Erin Groban was the model, just fantastic, bringing that thing to life. So, I mean, all around, just awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
I loved it.
That one just knocked it out of the park.
It did.
And I love too seeing that they kick it off with saying, you know, are we on the same page? Are you feeling what or this direction that we're going? And very communicative with each other.
Yeah.
So even when they weren't entirely on the same page at the beginning with where they're going to put the numbers or if they're going to use the numbers, we see that because they're able to work as a team, they're able to really create an awesome makeup.
Yeah. And again, you know, they were so nervous about it at the beginning of the episode, and then Mr. Westmore came in and was like, no, this is great. We're going with this. So that, I think, gave them a little bit of a confidence boost. And then ultimately it was because they worked really well together as a team that the makeup turned out as successfully as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like what they ultimately decided to do with the numbers and having it as part of the costume.
Yeah, it was just such a fun makeup.
I feel like, especially when you get a watch, there's such a danger of getting too close to something Disney animated, like Cog. Or who's the rapper that wears the giant watch?
Flavor
Flav.
Don't ask me why I know that.
There's like so many different extremes that have already been done with a timepiece that you don't want to get too steampunk, you don't want to get too this. And I think that they really in creating such a solid backstory, they were able to make a completely unique character that didn't make you immediately go, this reminds me of this.
Right.
It's like, no, I want to watch this character and see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, it was just completely original. And as Paul Rubin said, the model sold it. So that definitely helped contribute. And I love my puns. So I love when they're explaining the story. He's always watching, and they're like, pun intended.
Yes.
Like, yes, it is.
I thought of Elena immediately.
Yeah. Paul Rubin punished. Amazing. So Mel ended up winning this week too.
I know. I was so happy for her. But I was a little bummed because now Anna's been in the winning team twice and hasn't actually won.
Yeah.
But she's great. Like
I feel like Anna has a win.
Definitely. Most definitely. And I mean, and traditionally in the past, in Face Off, we've seen plenty of contestants that were just on top across the board and then won when it really counted. So
yeah,
you know, I really like her. I really like Mel, and I loved both of them working together. And I'm glad that Mel won this early on because I think she is incredibly talented, but I think that she's incredibly neurotic. Mel is who I would be if I were on this competition, is basically what I'm saying. So
it's nice to have some positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
To be like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, there were a couple looks that missed the mark a bit. Yeah, Robert and Vaughn had dice as their toy inspiration, which some of the toy concept, I'm like, who's playing with a key and dice? Like, I would much rather have a race car.
Yeah.
But I guess who's
Someone
like,
who
oh,
went
I'll
through,
play with
like,
a watch.
Grandma and Grandpa's like drawers or something.
I was gonna say, actually, keys did not seem that weird to me because I definitely had a collection of
I had a
toy
key collection
keys.
too. But I guess it was very Secret Garden.
Yeah, that was literally what I was gonna say. It's like I just like to play Secret Garden all the time.
I love seeing Robert do anything ever.
Yeah.
So just every time he is on camera, I am cracking up and I love it.
Yeah.
And I love when he's talking about the colors for this one. And he's like, make it very colorful for the children.
Yeah. And I feel like one of these days, his incredibly like kooky concepts and very unique design aesthetic is gonna pay off, but it was in conflict with Yvonne basically, and he saw it as, oh well, maybe it will be nice if they don't quite go together, and it just was disjointed.
Looking at that picture again, it just looks like a really creepy clown.
Yeah. Well, Neville even said, he's like, look at how he's looking at me.
Yeah,
and
creepy
then,
and
then
weird.
he did a thing with his face, and I'm sure it was just the model like trying to be like, yeah, no, I know. It just came out so
That
creepy.
was, I think, part of it too was the eyebrows on that was what made it so odd. Was having
very-
jarring eyebrows.
They're very villainous because they curve up.
Yeah.
Even with the shoes, it's a classic.
It's just creepy. Also, with at least what Paul said with the game piece nipples, it's a little off there. It's very nipply, apparently.
It is a little nipply. Yeah, and they said, you know, that sort of the lack of organic movement in the face also like took it into the horror territory, which to be fair is what I thought this challenge was going to be. So
yeah, but it was, you know, even the game piece on the head looks very nipple-like, and it did prompt Paul Rubens to say nipple about 50 times.
He did.
Too much.
Yep.
Too many times.
Yep. Yeah.
I say just enough. I say 2 nipples. Without them, bosoms wouldn't have a point.
There you go. Oh, get out, Elena. Jeez.
Well, that's our time, guys.
I'm going to sign you out. Goodbye.
I do think that this was a really good concept.
It was a good idea, and it just didn't.
And this was when we saw the feedback from Michael Westmore kind of not go in the right direction.
Yeah.
When he was saying, which I think kind of validated Robert a little bit more because he had made the nose so big and then dialed it back. And so then having Mr. Westmore come in and say, make it more exaggerated.
I know, I loved that moment when Robert just turned the head around and then it was just the giant nose.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Pinocchio was an influence, but Pinocchio, the board game,
Right.
Yeah.
Board game man.
Board game man.
Board game man.
Yep.
I love that that's the name of it, too. And Neville was like,
Neville was
board
not
game
having it.
guy.
No.
And he was
No.
like, board game man.
The chat all
Get it
said
right,
that they
please.
thought of Snakes and Ladders.
I was thinking
Shoots
sorry.
and ladders?
Snakes and Ladders, that is the
I played
British
Snakes and
title.
Ladders. Yeah, I played Snakes and Ladders. I was
Wow.
No way.
I was thinking of the Sorry game board.
Yeah.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was like kind of the amalgamation of all of the little board game pieces that fall out of the game that you then keep around.
Yeah.
And
You
you're
make
like,
up
oh,
your
put
own
it
game.
back. But
Yeah.
oh, you're much more inventive than I
Oh,
am.
I was thinking of like How I Met Your Mother. He made marsh gammon.
Yeah, that's right.
true.
I
But
forgot
I
about
like
that.
to pretend like I would do that, but then I just go, here's my box of stuff, and then put it in a corner and never come back.
Never touch it again.
It's garbage. Guess not. All right. But ultimately, yeah, this look just didn't come together the way that it should have, but wasn't the absolute bottom this week.
No.
Unfortunately for Jirogi and Jennifer, they were the bottom look. They had the crayons.
Oh, and it just...
Yikes, guys. Just
It
yikes.
didn't. It was like the Tin Man. It was like the Yellow Snow version of the Tin
But-
Man.
Yeah.
I have a question. Did
Yeah.
it have to be yellow?
It didn't have to be yellow.
I feel like
Jennifer picked yellow because it's a happy color.
Yeah, that actually was one of the things that the judges were saying, is that they felt that they did themselves a disservice by choosing yellow and just making it all yellow.
Yeah, and not even adding any like shading or
Yeah.
any coloration or
Yeah.
different shades of yellow. Which you think of the big Crayola boxes and you think,
Yeah.
oh,
So
they
many
have
shades.
50 different yellows.
know.
Why didn't he have a different kind of yellow for each finger? And then
Yeah.
he could be all that one spectrum.
And on top of that, it's like the crayon fingers. It was an okay idea, but it's so literal.
I thought it was a cool idea. I just didn't like that if he was all yellow, that his fingers were different colors.
Yeah.
you might as well just make him rainbow colors.
Right.
I-
Yeah.
I think I would have been cooler with
When
that.
they picked the crayon, I was like, oh my god, there are rainbow crayons. And then they just did one solid yellow one. And I was like, why is
And
no
it
one
was-
listening to my
it was-
idea? It's just-
Emma's
Why
like,
are my
I have
ideas
words.
not transmitting into the past when they recorded this?
right?
But I
Somebody
do
work on
like
that.
that Paul Rubens did point out that he liked the eyebrows. So there you go.
There you go.
He
They
would marry
were.
them, though.
He wouldn't marry them.
But he liked
But he
them.
liked
There were some nice eyebrows.
There were some eyebrows this week that were just intriguing.
I think it was all eyebrows, Michelle. Like,
It was.
straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think like when I think of like crayons, I think of just like when you take all of them and then you do the big rainbow or the circle or something. Like something would have been really cool to just kind of incorporate some sort of spirals or colors of that nature, because I feel like just picking one color makes it
Even-
really plain. Even the face was flat.
Yeah.
Maybe make them melted crayons, like a box that had been left out that kind of all
Yeah.
melts into one like crayon man that is like, oh, but I'm still, when my crayons would all melt, I would still use them.
Yeah.
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 Just use them
Yeah.
as one
This
big
is-
crayon block.
Well, and I mean, number one, it was just a big yellow crayon, and number two, they did have a lot of problems
Yeah.
with the prosthetic piece itself.
That was.
I feel like there was a lot of prosthetic happening around the neck there. And even Glenn said something to the effect of, these needed to be separate pieces. There was no way this was ever going to hold up.
I think they said it was not quite as cool as it could have been.
Yeah.
Was V's feedback, and I feel like that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It could have been really cool, and conceptually, it had the potential to go that way. So it is kind of a rough one when you have to say goodbye to somebody on a makeup,
I
and you're
know.
like, oh,
Yeah.
if you had a little bit more time, then you could have made this so awesome.
But alas.
I do like, though, that they did focus a lot on Jennifer, because even though
Yeah.
Jennifer, unfortunately, did go home
Yes.
this week, she got a good
Yeah,
solid
they gave
episode.
her a good amount of screen time, which was nice.
Which I like because it's always kind of a bummer early on in the season because you feel like everybody has so much potential. Exactly. So many cool things that they do.
Yeah.
They just want to see everything.
Yeah, and I feel like, gosh, the pressure's on at the beginning of the competition because you don't have any sort of rapport with the judges yet. You don't really have rapport with your fellow makeup artists. Like, there's... In some
Jennifer
ways,
mentioned she's more Syfy too, and she never really got the chance to do that.
Yeah, and I think in some ways it's actually more difficult earlier on in the competition. In some ways,
yeah, I'll give you that definitely.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we did say goodbye to Jennifer. But I'm sure we will see more from her in the future. Immensely talented. Everybody is on this show because they're so good. So congratulations, Jennifer, for making it to Face Off and making it all the way to season 2. And big congratulations to Mel for winning.
Yes.
But I do want, while we still have a little bit of time here, I want to talk a little bit to you because of how awesome it is, not only that you do so many things with Face Off and you've done so many challenges, but you do other modeling as well. I want to I don't want to say fancier modeling, but
fancy modeling,
high-class modeling.
You've been all over the place, Ford and AT&T, doing commercial work and print and Ray-Ban,
Golf Digest, all over the place. But that's why it's fun. I feel like going through Face Off is like going to modeling extreme boot camp.
Yeah.
Because after a day on Face Off, I feel like anything else is a walk in the park. But it's fun because of that.
Yeah.
Because how often would you get to play in these thousands of dollars worth of custom-made prosthetics for you?
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, how many seasons have you done Face Off for now?
6 seasons now.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I started in season 5.
Do you have any particular makeups that you've modeled that are your absolute favorite?
Yeah. My favorite is probably Laura's Cubism from the art episode.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was my second spotlight challenge ever, and that was just a way. She ruined me for it because it was just.
She's great. I love Laura.
That was incredible. Yeah, it's fun to see because it's makeups like that. At the lab, she had 20 minutes. She was done 20 minutes before everyone else, and she was like, "Well, I guess we'll clean up our station now." But yeah, that's definitely probably my favorite that I've gotten to be a part of.
That's so
great.
Awesome. Do you ever just have any makeups that you feel like you could have modeled, that you did a disservice to modeling wise? Are there any that you're I wish I had a second chance?
I know. Maybe actually, I think the guitar episode.
Okay.
I feel like I could have tapped into my inner groover with that one. Because I was with Corinne and Graham, and they are an absolute blast to work with. So I just feel like if I could have another go at it, I would love it because I feel like I could. I feel like I have more in me. But that was just such a cool makeup in general. It's just a cool episode, that one. But
and is there any sort of genre of makeup or type of character that you haven't gotten a chance to model that you would like to have done on you at some point?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, anything that I can smile in.
Okay.
Or I'd like to play
that.
something like a smiley, creepy character. The closest I got to it was with Jordan Patton in last year's Gauntlet.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, I was
Man, that
the
was a
witch,
good
his
one.
his warlock with the
That's
top
right.
hat
No,
and
I
the
remember
green
that.
and that was one of my favorite characters because I feel like that one had you could be so expressive in it.
Yeah.
And as an actor and a model, that's pretty fun.
And
then the finale of last year was the absolute dream.
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Evan I was on Team Evan.
Yeah.
He knocked it out of the park with Quarantine Zone.
I ended up loving Evan so much, and he was the one that I was really? He's in the finale? But holy, he was great.
That one was phenomenal.
It was one of my favorite makeups of all time.
Yeah. It was so cool.
good.
And to see where it came from, how it started, because on the first day I was like, okay, I don't think you're going to be able to recognize me, which is not what the show's about.
No,
you know
of course
what I mean?
not.
But when I walked in the second time and saw, there's only half my face covered, I'm like, I can get on board with this. But no, it just looked cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Have you ever had any of your work outside of Face Off be as challenging as Face Off? I feel like Face Off is
Yeah, it puts you through the paces. I feel like being on Face Off is a kind of vetting process.
Yeah.
If you've worked on it or done creature stuff, you're going to be good to go on just about any set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done some creature stuff outside of this, and it's still, prosthetics is just grueling in general, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever a face-off moment where, or like from when you started to now, that you were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened? Like just like a crazy face-off moment that like you were a part of or you witnessed or something of that
there's
nature?
been a couple times where we've gone into last looks and I'm looking around the room and I'm like, gosh, everyone has so far to go. And then you get out of last looks and I'm like, guys, what? Like, where did that come from? It's like you had another 4 hours in there. You walk out just looking amazing. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? I'm like, I was sitting here watching you, but...
Yeah, like, I walked in here with a bald cap, and now I'm a lizard man.
Yeah. And then there's been a couple times, too, where I've gone to last looks with nothing on.
Yep.
And those were scary moments. It was like that I worked with Jordan for the Horsemen of the Apocalypse
that's
episode.
right, I remember that.
And so that one, he just put everything on last minute. And then with Ben on one of the fantasy with the kids episodes, I was Ben's three-headed
that's
big
right.
blue monster. And that one, I went into last looks with just nothing on. Which is kind of nice as a model. You're like, all right, kind of just hanging out, assisting, and then.
And the kid
but it's scary.
loved that makeup. He loved it. The judges did not, but the kid loved it.
Yeah, he did.
But he pleased the client. That's
Exactly.
all that matters.
Yep.
Well, where can we find more from you? And
Yeah, absolutely. My website, mattchriswood.com. I've got a bunch of projects on there, and I update that regularly. And I have an independent feature that I worked on coming out called Watch the Sky that should be coming out later this year.
Oh, great.
So keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
And I hear your Instagram game is pretty strong, too.
Pretty strong. Stronger than my Twitter game, but I may have to work on that after this.
Yeah.
But Instagram, Matt Chris Wood.
Great.
Awesome. So definitely be sure to check out more from Matt, and be sure to check out more from us here at AfterBuzz. We have hundreds of shows, so be sure to subscribe, like, comment, tell us all that good stuff. Tweet at us. Let us know what you like using that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. And where can we find more from you, lovely ladies?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen, and here on Sundays doing an after show for Gallivant.
Freaking love that show.
So good.
I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet, wherever Emma Fyffes are sold, at Emma Fyffe. It's my name, EMMAFYFFE. That's all F's as in Fred, no S's as in snake. They tend to sound the same on the phone or when they get recorded in a microphone and transmitted into your ears. You can see me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzzTV.com. Agent Carter, Star Wars Rebels, Bob's Burgers, Steven Universe, a lot of them. And I tweet all the time, too. And if you guys are in the greater Los Angeles area and you're going to be at Anime Los Angeles the last weekend of January, I am doing a panel at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, January 29th with my Sailor Moon podcast called Love and Justice.
Nice. Appropriately dressed.
I know,
for it
exactly.
as well.
I'm in my little Luna Kigurumi here, so.
And Alexis, when you're not in the booth, where are you?
I'm always in the booth. So you guys can find me all over social media at atorres890. Don't forget to follow all of our other channels here. Popcorn Trick Network, where Emma and I actually did a Galaxy Quest watch-along earlier this morning.
Nice.
Also check out Black Hollywood Live, where we talk about entertainment from a black and brown perspective. Don't forget Bookslicker Online if you love books. And obviously catch all of us here at AfterBuzz TV, where I'm in the booth or not.
Yep. And I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan, ALANAJORDAN, and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. And you can find us here next week. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.